Hello, good afternoon, Gosia. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to the whole audience.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're very, very welcome. So, we're going to jump straight into it. Welcome to the Brand Protection Talks. And today we are with Gosia Kramer, who is the founder of The Office. And jumping straight into it, Gosia, would you like to tell us about The Office and how it came into being?
With pleasure. The Office. Oh, I lost my voice. Can you talk?
It's all right.
No,
It's
can
just you and I.
Oh, yes. It's because of the cold water I'm drinking.
Maybe.
So, hello, everyone. My name is Gosia Kramer. I founded The Office almost 5 years ago. So, what is The Office? The Office is actually a co-working place. It started as a co-working, and over the years, when we are opening the next ones, it gradually transformed into flexible office space. So right now, we will be having in the city center of Luxembourg, 1,000 square meters of co-working areas, plus over 4,000 of private flexible office spaces. So to really address to the companies that are in the rapid growth, or on the contrary, in the rapid shrink, they can adapt the space based on their true needs. So they don't have to rent, like commit to the long-term leases. The leases are flexible as well. But what is beautiful about the concept, from month to month, you can say like, okay, next month I'm like, instead of four people team, I'm 2 people team. We adapt your contract to 2 people, so you don't pay for 4. So very flexible, very much coming, responding to the economic crisis, but also to the future of work that became hybrid. People will be continuing working from home and from the office. So we also provide a solution that you can do both at the same time. So how it started? It started with a garage where it was for my first co-working space. That it was like transforming really unused garage into a working place, very industrial. I was back then inspired by similar places in Berlin and New York. So bricks, like old windows. The place has a vibe. Then we opened like very quickly. We had a very hard beginning because we opened the concept in Luxembourg on the market, which didn't hear about co-working. People did not understand the concept. So then I realized, okay, I have to first like tell people what co-working is, show them, demonstrate it. So first few months were like extremely slow, and I was very stressed about it. To then like boom from one day to the other, and the place was fully booked within like literally another few months. And basically from this moment, where we built a customer trust, we attracted customers to the office, our members. We started realizing that there is like, there is a concept behind, there is a brand behind that we were building, which was kind of not the aim from the beginning. I just wanted to create like, the co-working place to basically have working place of my dreams. I was doing it first for myself. I wanted to work in the healthy environment, so I built it for myself. That's why I gave it the name, like the most generic name. So it's like when you come to the game without the plan and you think like I'm gonna create myself the office, you call it the office. It's like
Absolutely.
So there was no upper thinking on this randomly pick up name. I was just surprised that the name was available in Luxembourg. So I was like, oh, how cool! Nobody, because Luxembourg, French-speaking market, like Le Bureau was like translated combination.
Taken.
Exactly, but nobody has thought about the office. I was like, okay, so I have the name, but I was absolutely not attached to it. And I remember even like one person from my team at a certain moment questioned me like, wouldn't you like to protect this name in Luxembourg? And I was like, you know what, I can rebrand myself within 1 week. It's not a problem, with my creativity, my imagination. I can do it within new marketing, new name. I'm going to be off and going whenever I want.
Yeah.
So that was my approach. only that popularity of the office started growing so quickly that I was kind of chasing like running rabbit. I was always like, I had the feeling I was a few steps behind. The office just took off its own journey. Exactly, like it's really became popular in the ecosystem, not only among the startups but also among companies. Like people love to come there for the events, love there to network. Like back in the old days, like everybody from neighborhood was actually ending up at the end of the day in the office, having the beers and having a chat.
Yeah, exactly.
You have been there several times, so you know how it is, how it was.
How it was, yeah, back in the day when we could actually meet physical people. I mean, I sometimes reminisce about those times where, you actually got to meet people face to face. It's, back in the day. But thank you very much for giving us that broad overview. And I think what's super interesting in what you just said is the mindset in the beginning of, well, if my brand's not protected, I can literally rebrand from the start. And I think that's actually something that we come across a lot when we start the conversation with our clients, and they sort of say, well, I'm not quite sure of where the company is going and where we want to take this. So they almost feel, some of the people like you did, that locking themselves into a certain brand is exactly that. It's sort of, but I don't necessarily want to be tied with that. And so what you're describing is that at one point you came to the realization that actually this is a brand. And in a conversation that you and I had before, there was this whole idea that actually people recognize that and there is brand recognition. So now I can't just rebrand because the brand is the company is the brand.
Yes. So that was exactly this moment when like whoever was referring to my places just said the office, and everybody knew around which office the people are talking about. So I was like, okay, it became in Luxembourg like the brand basically.
Yeah.
The brand. So it came together with the moment when we again, like because then we have done the second project, so we renovated archives of National Library, because it's also our mindset that we give the new life to the old buildings basically. And then like I said I will never do it again, and then of course like I slept for a few months, rested, and I was like, let's do it again. So we do it again. We take another building that is like 3 times bigger than the previous one. So every new building we take is 3 times bigger than the so it's growing. So I was okay. This time I really have to make sure that when I do it, it's secured. It's done professionally, and it's secured in terms of the brand protection, because that's our expansion name, and we're gonna be using. So if we next month we decide that we have to do yet another one, we can expand within the name. If it's in Luxembourg or it's outside of Luxembourg, then our name is protected and we can go wherever we want. And I already look at some countries where we are like in close, keeping a close eye on. And funny enough, so yes, that's the plan. And I remember as it was yesterday, because I reacted to, I have seen your post on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh, I have to contact you. So I dropped you like the link in saying like, oh, I have the brand. I believe I have the brand. So I asked you for help to arrange it. And I remember like you get Mark from your team to give me a call to discuss the details. And I was like always like me, like, I always rush somewhere. I'm always late somewhere, and I always am on the go to some place. Normally it's like picking up construction materials.
At the moment, yeah.
So that's my life. That's the life I have chosen. And Mark calls me, and I was like, okay, buddy, let's keep it quick because I don't have much time. And he was like, okay. And he started explaining, and I remember when I literally stopped in the middle of the street and started listening. And I learned so much during this first conversation. He really took me step by step, what it means brand protection, what I can protect, to which extent it can be protected. Because, in my case, when it's co-working place, it's not only, our name, but it's also the concept, the furniture behind the platform we are building. So it's like the restaurants that we are having attached. So once you protect the concept on its own, it has to be like really complete concept. So I have it in my protection scheme, my protection list. It's really make sure that everything what I came up so far and I'm gonna come up with the future is there. So nobody has right now chances to replicate it, because the concept as such is also protected within the name.
Exactly. And in fact, that's exactly the theme of today's talk, is really brand protection in the concept of growing a company. And in doing so, it's absolutely amazing that you're telling us this story, because this is something that we try as much as possible to bring to our clients and to encourage our clients to do, is to think about the short, medium, and long term. And I mean, that story that you're telling us is, thank you very much, by the way, because it's
thank you so much, because you helped me with that, so thank you.
I mean, that's the thing, when you work with clients that want to listen and that want to understand, it makes our job so much easier, because you've got that mentality of, I want to learn, I want to understand. And that's really what we're here for, is to educate, quote unquote, because everything that we're saying is, you can go out and you can find it on the internet. And in fact, we publish a lot of content on our website so that people can go and educate themselves. And effectively what we're doing is being the facilitators of actually getting the job done for busy people who just simply don't have the time, like you are.
Yeah, I absolutely, if I would be running this project, I would be still on the research side. It's like, how it on this website, which register. So I for sure I wouldn't do it in such a speed, because there is also people should not forget that there is a period when your registration can be opposed. So it's minimum 3 months. It's nothing that happens from one day to the other.
Yeah.
And I think the education factor is extremely important, because also me, when I thought what is brand protection, is that you protect your name, so nobody else can use the name. I thought that's it. You kind of put yours, you buy the website, so you buy yourself the name, and I thought it works like that. It's actually not the case at all. Well, it does protect your name, but it also protects your entire concept. So that is important also to and especially for the people, as you're saying, to stop for a minute and think medium and longer perspective, because when I was creating the office, it wasn't the fact that I woke up one day and I was like, okay, let me create a brand.
It wasn't. In our previous conversation, you didn't even set out to create a brand, did you, in the first place? Mm-hmm. And you were, as you said earlier on, you were your own first customer. I'm doing something for me, and that happens time and time again, where people go and they see a problem that needs to be solved, and they solve it, and then they're like, oh, I seem to have created a business. It's really amazing to be part of that process from our point of view, because we actually take and we join people on their journey of discovery in the short, medium, and long term, because they're saying, okay, because we ask them the questions, what are you thinking of doing? 1 year down the line, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, where do you want to be in 10 years? And as you say, taking that moment to reflect and sort of saying, okay, well, how do I want to grow the company? It's an amazing thing to watch, because as you just described it, you have that aha moment of, actually, this means that I can, and then fill in the blank, because you've just spoken about, international expansion. If anybody 5 years ago, when you were sort of in the beginning of creating the company, if anybody had said in 2021, COVID notwithstanding, you will be thinking of international expansion, how would you have reacted?
I would have such a good laugh. I think it would even crash the floor, me laughing at that time. No, because 5 years ago, I remember where I have been. I was wiping the floors of the office. I was like, really wondering if it will ever bring me somewhere. It was absolutely unthinkable. I was not even sure if I would stand back on the feet after this, project that was bigger than me. That was bigger than it was insane. Now, when I understand my friends when they were like, I was creating, and then they were like, Gosia, cancel it, walk away, run, hide yourself. Like they were like so overwhelmed with the gravity of everything that came around, and me probably too somewhere. But I have a fighter nature, so I was like, no, I will not give up. But I wouldn't have thought that in 2021 I would be thinking, okay, maybe another country.
So, I mean, we've spoken about time. I think it's really interesting for us just at this point to tell our audience, because you mentioned it very briefly earlier on about the process of actually getting your brand protected. And one thing that we always make very, very clear, because when you're building a business, marketing becomes super important. And well, naturally, because you want to grow the business, the topic of this particular conversation. And there's a common misconception that until you have actually received the final certificate of registration, that you can't do marketing because people could still oppose your brand. In fact, what happens is that when you, and this is something that we do for you, obviously, when we do all the submissions and everything, we've gone through all the documentation, we make sure that we are confident the brand is going to go through. So we've ticked all the boxes, dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. Then we submit. As soon as we have got that submission receipt, what we do is we obviously send that to you. And with that, because it's your proof of submission, effectively, the receipt, from then on, there's 2 weeks of verification and then 3 months, 3 months of opposition period. After which point, if there hasn't been an opposition, of course, the brand is protected. But you can actually do marketing before that, because the brand is technically protected throughout that entire process, because you've got that piece of paper that says the receipt, this receipt proves that you are the one that submitted it first. And that's really
go and create the same brand, the same name, because yes, it's very important, because it was also my understanding that I have to I better sit quiet, not to give anybody any idea to oppose my registration. Yeah, I also had that, and I remember Mark also explained to me already the submission. He also presented me the document with every, because I think I provided the list of 20, and he boxes, and then he also added to the contrary, I provided few, and he came out with 20 additional. So it was really you might think also about that, and you might think also about another aspect. So he really I really felt super safe with him, as a great one. So it's
Well, thank you once again, and Mark is most probably watching, so big shout out to Mark.
Thanks so much.
But essentially, what we're talking about here is bringing people on that journey so that they can actually not only learn something, as you were saying, but also for them to be able to grow in confidence. And this is why, of course, what we do is we provide all of that information up front. So, you've got access to your client portal, which means that you have access to absolutely everything, all of your the documentation. You've got access to that in one easy place, and that is going to be true as you grow the company further down the line. Can I ask? Carry on.
It is also interesting, and and why it's good to have the expert behind you, because remember when you dropped me the message saying be careful, from this moment you might start receiving invoices that look like your registration invoice, but those are fake.
Yeah.
2 days later I still receive them, like there are people like scammers tracking really like every company, and boom, they send the registration invoice while like you take care of entire payment process, everything is settled, so there is no invoice that you should be receiving, and so that was important to know, because I might have just pay it.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for bringing that up, because that's one of the challenges that unfortunately we do face and our clients face, and this is why we warn our clients: please, 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 if you receive anything and you're not sure where it's come from, you're not sure why you've received it, you get in touch with us, and we will definitely be there to tell you, and that is also at absolutely no extra cost. The thing that happens, and I want to emphasize this for the audience, is that, as you just said, very rightly so, Gosia, is that as soon as you start protecting your brand, and that's gone through the process, then there are indeed scammers that try and reach out to you, and it's nothing more, nothing less than completely dishonest individuals who are trying to get your money. And no matter who you work with, whether it's with us or with anyone else, please be sure that you ask the people that are accompanying you if this is something that is normal, and feel free to challenge the people that you are working with, because you want to make sure that you have understood everything. Even though you've got professionals in front of you, they should want to educate you. They should want to pass on that knowledge so that you can grow as an individual and as a professional as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the supporting the growth is also a very important element, because if I would have done this on my own, it would not be completed until today. It's like it's really like to have because we are not experts here, right? So we kind of like, when we are entrepreneurs, we learn through the process, but what we learn hard times that some matters it's better to live with the experts because when we touch it, it's not done to the extent that it could be done professionally.
Absolutely. I mean, this as well, and this is going to come back again and again. I think that nowadays we're a lot more in the mindset of wanting to help other people grow. And it's true when we look at the communication that you put out there. You're always trying to encourage people to, not only start something new, but also innovate and try and expand their horizons, because that's essentially what you do in your community, isn't it? It's you try and get people together. Obviously, at the moment, it's a bit complicated with the situation, but that's actually quite interesting, because as somebody who has created co-working spaces this entire year, because we were talking just before we went live about the fact that you're actually not only expanding as you just described, but you've got more and more people wanting that flexibility. Tell us a bit about the mindset shift that you have seen within the company as you have built it over time.
Yeah, like first thing I've seen that like they're always the first one, the quickest one to react. So even if you take recent events of lockdowns, like during the first lockdown, I have seen that the office members, they reacted so quickly. Like for them, like the switch from physical working to home working was absolutely no effort. They started like some years ago at home, then they found me and they joined the office. So for them, like the switch back, it was like immediate switch, and right now, because this lasted only for the first lockdown, and right after that, they immediately found themselves back in with the new measures, because of course we have to put the distance. The thing we are not lacking here is a space. So for us, like, 2 meter distance, no problem. We have like so much space. So we really like. But then like very funny, very funny story. Like especially at Charlotte, where community is very close together. we remove the chairs between, to create the distances. So we remove the chairs, we put the table together. After one day, I come there and I see like everybody at the same table working next to each other. I was like, guys, there's pandemic. Like, you cannot do those things. They look
Get
at
out of
me,
it.
but we are like family. It's like, it's the same rule. I was like, no. So I had a bit of headache, to spread them a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, lovely to see that their answer was like, yeah, but we are not working currently because we are family here. So it's like we can sit together. So here, and then another aspect that, okay, like companies located at the office have no issues with the technologies. They are quick adapters. Like, many were already working, providing online services. So for them, this element was just boosting their clientele. So they did well. Like, of course, many of us suffered, and some of us are suffering until today, and just waiting for better times. And but at least we are in this together, because I cannot imagine those people look at home running their business only from home, and they don't even know that they could be introduced to somebody online. They could do a small contracts, bigger contracts, just by joining community, but most importantly, just having somebody next to you who says buddy, I'm in the same shade. It already gives you so much, because I always say, together we are stronger, and that's how we hold up. It's not only the office or the only Gosia or it's hundreds of other companies and our coworkers coming and going, exercising big time, hybrid working. So they few hours here, few hours there. It's constant move here. So but come back. That's why we have seen that also in terms of the new members, people are really craving for this solution. Like, working from home is ultimately not a solution for anybody, and we need a professional place to work.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing as well. I mean, you're touching on everybody's core competence, but also to remember to keep it down at a relatively human scale. I mean, we've a bit like you were talking about using technology for good. I mean, we have automated a huge part of the process. That's why we managed to keep the prices as low as we can, so that as many people as possible can actually get their brands protected and can actually protect their brand, because quite often it's a question of, do I have the liquidity or not? And it's exactly the same as what you were saying earlier on. And I think it's a really good way to wrap this up. You were talking about flexibility, and if you need two, you need two, and then four, and then six, and then afterwards you need two because of the pandemic, whatever. We really do take the same approach, in the sense that we try and keep it as much as possible at a very human level. And that's really the message that I think is pervasive throughout this entire conversation is, listen to what other people need, adapt to what other people need and want. But then also, because the whole topic has been about growing, it's also a question of believing in yourself, because now that you've got the confidence that you're going to grow over the next months, would you like to have the closing word on A, where you're going, and B, where people can find you and follow you on social media, websites, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc., etc.?
Guys, don't follow me on Instagram, because I put there very private content. And yes, so my Instagram is my Instagram, but we have the office Instagram. The website is theoffice.lu. We also, this is gonna come as a surprise, we also have a .com name that's gonna be announced very, very soon. And LinkedIn, Gosia Kramer, or the Office Luxembourg. You can find me there. Facebook is the Office Sarl. Don't ask me why. It's again, you create something, you never think it's gonna become a brand, but that's how we are named. And and I think I will be delighted to be in touch.
Absolutely. So if people, and I'll be so bold, if people have got any questions about your experience working with GreatBrands, working with us in general, I'm going to say please do reach out to Gosia. On the one hand, tell you more about her story, and on the other hand, to find out how she can help you expand your business. On that note, thank you very, very, very much, Gosia.
Always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for all your support.
Thank you very much. And for anybody that wants to reach out to us, you can reach out to us on greatbrands.net. You'll find us on LinkedIn, you'll find us on Facebook, and of course, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We look forward to the next. Thank you very much once again. We will see each other very soon.
How to switch it